Yeah, I think Veselk like hisses, and also I wanted to ask. I don't know if this requires a roll, but I want to position my body perfectly to blindside this dude who is speaking all this, because I think Veselk, she has this idea about like escaping to a new life, but hearing all this shit about my law is okay and you're this sacred place. I think she's positioned herself perfectly to pounce on this guy's throat. I mean, that's.
And believe
Okay,
me,
so I
I'm
turn-
not keeping you from it.
I turn to
Barth
them
is doing his
kind
best
of
here.
step-
Yeah.
And I think
I'm
there's like
stepping-
venom, because she
Oh,
can
right.
like Drakes can spit venom. Yeah, I think there's like
Right.
venom leaking down her
Right.
maw.
I step between them and the two guys, and I say, okay, these guys are not the problem, and I know this is not their land, but the problem with I've lived among these people for my life, and the problem with these people is that if they think it's theirs, they're gonna act like it's theirs. It's not them who are the problem, but if people come looking for them, that will become the problem. So it's better if we take them out of your lands ourselves, safely, silently, without arousing attention to this place, which is important to you people, I think,
Duster
rather
or
than
common,
letting
Farth?
them. Yes, well, this is all Duster.
Okay.
This is all Duster.
So,
because
the man is saying, is throws in his opinion, which is, and his hand is shaking a little. Farth, you recognize this more than the other two. Vefselk, you probably have an okay idea of this. He's not fully adult. He's maybe 17.
Wow.
This is not like warrior, scarred, noble dude.
Right.
This guy is, Disney Prince looking.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so-
I got that impression.
Right. And
Easy
he
pickings.
and he is another thing that Farth recognizes that there's no way that the other two would recognize. The woman is wearing ordinary, fairly rugged local clothing, local human clothing, of rather well made. Okay. She's clearly not like a laborer or something,
Mhm.
perhaps even privileged, but very local. But she's wearing something that is not local at all. It is a garment that goes over the head. There's a hole for your head. The shoulders are very stiff. And then there's cloth that goes down in the front and in the back, and it's tied at the sides. And it's got designs on it that are completely not local at all. It doesn't fit her well. It's clearly his.
Mhm.
Okay. It's ragged and torn and dirty. And he, if you look at him again, suddenly realize he's not wearing anything over regular clothes. Right. So clearly that thing she's wearing was supposed to go over what he's wearing.
Mhm.
And then and he is his sword comes up and he is saying, call your monster off. We told you. We mean no harm.
Okay, so
Are you savages?
In common?
Oh, that's what he says. Yeah. The girl is saying he speaks of peace. Crixos, he speaks of peace.
So when he does that, I have to give something. I'm kind of not very good to negotiating, but I'm kind of used to be in the middle of different cultures.
Right.
So I raise my sword in his direction and I say, "Listen up! I'm trying to save your life here. So just be quiet and don't enrage them. It's
Okay.
It's going to be
Says-
for the better."
He actually turns. He looks at her, and she's like, yeah. And he turns and looks at you, and with some dignity, he kind of, some dignity, and you recognize all this pompous dignity of his isn't really arrogance. I mean, there's cultural arrogance, but he's scared.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
He swallows, puts his sword into its sheath, and says, "All right, half-breed. Please help us."
I do the same. I shut my blade and turn to the guys here and say, again, Induster, we need to get these people out of here as soon as possible and avoid anybody else to come to this place. I think maybe you agree with this or not. You feel it will be appropriate.
He
Is
gonna
invoking
behave
like
now?
No, I'm talking to Itasha. I know you cannot answer me. I'm
You're
just
getting
checking
the
with
look that you're getting the look that Helma's giving us right now. I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, is invoking? I'm just thinking, is coming to a sacred place and invoking some sort of like, my empire fucking owns this, and I'm peacefully
He's
saying this?
just a-
Is
he's
that
a
like?
kid.
He
He's a
can't
That is
see
true.
it, but I'm so
But
pissed.
human kids are
He's a
big, though.
kid.
Yeah,
You
you
kids
kids
are
are
big.
big.
All I'm saying is, as Vefselk speaking here, this is like a person who's saying, I own this place. That's kind of like spitting like pissing on it, right? Like, I don't know. I think I'm not trying to say like this is like murder territory, but I'm saying like that's bad. That's not peaceful.
Right.
Like, he might think it's peaceful, but saying I own this place that you consider sacred and was once like under your complete authority, that's like not really peaceful. So I'm just thinking like, I don't think that him putting away his sword after saying that is really like, I'm picturing Vefselk like circling like,
Oh yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
a wolf circle with prey,
I
like,
got it. Yeah,
like slowly and eyeing
you're,
him.
You're being very restless for a drake and kind of a liquid slow back and forth
Yeah,
kind of thing going on here. And
Right.
and you know, Ethasha's like practically in Farth's face, right, with her,
Yeah.
her death glare. And Farth is
Oh, and she's going. Oh, she's going down. She's going to touch the ground,
I see.
and I
Okay.
think Farid knows what's going
Exactly,
to happen.
right, yeah.
That guy
Okay.
does one more wrong move.
Mhm.
When I see them moving
Oh,
like that, I
wow.
say just one thing in Duster, and I say it lowly and rather, as steely I can make my voice. I say, if we are to kill them, just do it fast because we need to be out of here
Mhm.
quickly.
You'll have to choose if that guy can't behave.
Mhm. Okay, so Farth, the two of them are the two people have sort of the boy has stepped
Mhm.
back after sheathing his sword, after saying so generously, half breed to you, and then
Yeah.
the woman says, thank the gods you're here, to Farth, and she says, I beg your help. Help us get home. At least help us against the hyenas. Show us where the river is. Are we near the river? There's water here, but we're lost.
I stop
We're
her for a
tired.
second and say,
We had to.
Yeah,
We fought the hyenas.
I'm afraid the hyenas are not your most immediate problem right now. This is a sacred place, and I say this in common. They say this is a sacred place, and invoking the Azarpers, I use this kind of word, low on this ground, is not the best ticket for a friendly reaction. So right now, I think you need to concern yourself with apologizing and trying to find a way to reason with the Drake specifically, and
the woman looks at the Drake, and her jaw drops a little, and you see the understanding in her eyes. She suddenly realized that's a Duster.
Yeah.
Right. And the man, of course, has no idea. And so she says, "Oh, right." She got that all of a sudden. And so she says, "We plead your forgiveness for stepping on your holy ground. We ran to it only thinking of some safety from the animals, from the pursuers. and we would either remain here under your protection if it is allowed, or beg your help in finding us a more appropriate spot. But we are pursued by these beasts, and our companions are scattered, and I'm afraid some of them could be dead. We the man listening to this, and this is all in common, the man listening to this, Crixos, looks at her, looks at you, and says, well, let's hope anyway. He's referring to the deaths of some of the companions. He's clearly not sympathetic to at least one of them. And then says to you, yes, and he kind of looks back and forth, doesn't see anything that looks like a holy place, shrugs and says, you're a holy place. We meant no disrespect.
Huh.
He's willing to take your word for it. He's like, really?
I'm looking at my +2 alignment. And,
Well, I'm thinking like how much. So
yeah, I was
like,
just,
what I'm
I was
picturing
just looking
is
at the rules for alignment just before, and I'm beginning to think that Farth gets himself a plus at the end of this one. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I'm thinking like how much. So I know that yes, like the Empire. It's not like they've like annexed this by force, but like they like there's just this assumption about I think any kind of large empire like that like any territory is really theirs, like even if they don't own it yet, like one day.
River, as far as the banks and the commerce on the river is concerned, that's precisely what they think.
Right. So I'm thinking like there's got to be just generations of resentment, right? Especially for someone like
don't forget that the river tribes aided the Empire in exterminating the barbaric humans.
Right.
So the Dusky tribes have actually always, along the river, have been more or less compliant. Now, of course, they have a lot of autonomy. The Empire says your tribal law is your tribal law. We're not getting mixed up in that nonsense, whatever that is. So, whatever. So, and that's how the Draver population got going, right? Through half-duster events. And so the Jackal tribe has much more contact with that than the Ants tribe, which has almost no contact with it at all.
Right.
And your people, the spider people, were at least more like the Jackal tribe than not, as far as that's concerned. So it's not like you never saw humans. It's not like you didn't know their ways. It's just you didn't live with them.
Right.
Whereas, obviously, Farth was born in primarily human community and lived there. But with other Dravers, too. I mean, he's not a unique phenomenon. There's, there's a minority of Dravers all up and down the river. And so does that help a little bit with sort of this isn't alien to you. As far as I was concerned, let's just say that the progress has not always been smooth.
And I'm thinking like, why should I not, scare this guy off, spit a bit of poison on him so he can lead the hyenas off. These people can get, that's two birds with one stone. I just really don't think, why would, we're literally surrounded by these predators that want to chase these guys. I run at him, spit some poison in his eyes.
One of whom bit you already. Right.
Yeah, I just feel like, I feel like
all right, let's do it.
I would attack. I feel like I'd spit poison at him.
Everybody roll initiative.
Yeah. Okay. I got a 4.
Uh-huh.
1.
Mhm.
I do want to say my class does begin pretty soon, like in like 2 minutes from now.
Oh
so,
shoot! Well, no, we can't.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can't
Just
keep
to let you know.
All right, guys. We'll start with initiative. Keep your 1 and your 2.
Yes.
Or whatever they were. Keep those. Go
I
ahead
got
and
a
roll. Helen.
4-2, so Farid has a last chance.
I'm sorry
write them
because
down,
I-
everybody, because things just went south.
I had
Yeah.
the perfect. You have the perfect sentence.
All
for
right,
this
guys.
scene.
This actually was an extremely enjoyable session. I thought I would have I've been sort of maneuvering these topics in my mind in a sort of thespian way, sort of saying, okay, where, and I found that what he would say and what she would say to be very intuitive. Interestingly enough, if you flip it around, that if we had followed these two's adventure from the beginning and only meeting your characters for the first time,
Mhm.
think about the shift, right? So it's really interesting. Okay, everybody, take care. Thanks so much
Yeah,
for those
you too.
fantastic pictures. And,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please tell him it's
Yeah.
I will tell Theo that he
great.
is going to be happy.